This is my 17-year-old Dell Studio XPS laptop. It works perfectly fine. I use it every single day to watch streaming and to do light web browsing. And Microsoft wants me to throw it in the trash. And you probably own a computer that they think the same thing about, and that's just not acceptable. So let's save this old laptop from the garbage. Today we're going to replace Windows with Linux Mint and show you how pretty simple it is. So let's get started. First of all, you want to be on your Windows desktop. And what we're going to do is go and get some files. Basically open up your browser. I'm using Firefox here. We want to search for Linux Mint. And then you can select the download or just go to their homepage for the download. And then what we're going to do is take the basic edition, which is the Cinnamon edition. That's what they name it. It's kind of sometimes confusing to people from Windows, but that's just the way it is. They'll offer you a mirror, which basically just means the server it sits on, and you can just click the default or pick one closest to, which probably means it's going to be a little faster. It doesn't always work that way. Click it and your download will start. Depending on the speed of your internet connection, it's going to be a while. Now, funny thing is, while I'm doing this, what happens, but we're adding new features to Windows. So, you know what? Windows, that's why we're doing this. We don't want any of your features that we didn't ask for. While we're waiting for that, we can download a tool that we need, which is called Balena Etcher. So we can go to their website. And just click on that, and we'll go to the website and click on Download Etcher. What this is going to do is going to make your USB drive bootable. And click the Etcher for Windows download link, and that will start your download. And you can see up in Firefox our progress. Mint is going to probably take half an hour to download depending on your internet speed. Etcher will take a couple of minutes. Okay, so now we have both our Etcher and our Linux Mint ISO. An ISO is just a file format that allows you to make bootable USB drives, which is the entire point here. That's what we're going to use Balena for. So what we're going to do is start up Balena from wherever you downloaded it to, probably just in your Windows downloads unless you have it set up somewhere else. You can get that started up, and once you have that, we're going to click the Flash from File button, and what we would do is we're going to select the ISO, which is the Linux Mint. The current version is 22.2 Cinnamon 64-bit.iso, so click on that and click Open. Once you've done that, we're going to select the target where to write the ISO to, which is going to be an external USB drive, a thumb drive, or some other kind of external USB drive. And so we'll click on that, and it's going to pop up. And it will offer a couple of things which they think are, the program thinks is the USB drive. Make sure that you are selecting the right one because it's going to overwrite everything on that disk. So I'm using a SanDisk Ultra USB 3. So click that and then click Select. And then once that's done, click Flash. And then it's just going to run through the whole flash procedure. This is sped up. I think it took about 8 to 10 minutes, but it'll go through this whole process. And then once it's flashed everything, it's going to do a verification, and then it'll finish, and it'll give you a flash complete. The next step is to install a USB flash drive in the computer that you are going to install Mint on. Now that may be the one you're currently using, or it might be another one, your laptop or something like that. Put it in or any open USB port, and then what we got to do is tell your system to boot from that specific drive, and there is a way to do that on pretty much all computers. And that's is done by down in the right hand corner. You'll see press F12 for boot options. So as it's starting up, before it gets to the Windows part, you want to press F12 and hold it down. Sometimes it's F8, sometimes it's escape. It depends on your system. You might have to look it up, but once that's done, we're generally provided with an option to boot and from different drives that are attached to your computer. In this case, we're going to select USB storage because that's the SanDisk drive that I put in. That'll be the drive you put in. So just use your arrow keys to select that and then hit enter. And then once that's done, it'll take a few seconds, and we'll have the first Linux Mint startup screen, and you can click Start Linux Mint. Now it's important to note here that you are not doing anything at this point to harm your Windows installation. This is simply loading Linux Mint into memory, and you'll be able to look at it, poke around in a completely non-destructive way. So it's a good way to get an idea if it looks like it's something you want to do. I recommend you poke around a little bit, as it it is a bit of a different system. There's a learning curve, but you do that and it'll start up, and you'll see a desktop right away. And once the desktop is up, you can select from the Start menu, which is down in the lower left, just like it is in Windows, in proper Windows, not that center window thing that a Windows 11 does. So you can look around. You can try Firefox. There's several programs that are installed just to give you an idea. But at this point, this is all reversible. You haven't installed anything. It's running entirely off the USB drive, and any changes you make here won't be saved. So don't spend any time in here other than just poke around. So what we're going to do is halt here and put up a big red flag and say, okay, so this is where you have to decide if you really want to do this. And if you want to do this, you have to pull your USB drive out, the one that has the Mint ISO on it, and you want to reboot. And this will reboot you back into Windows. Because what you need to do now is spend a lot of time in Windows making sure you get all of your data saved to an external source. And I actually recommend saving it to 2 external sources, a USB drive or a external hard drive, something like that. So you need to be looking in your desktop, your downloads, your documents, your music, your photos, anywhere you may have stored files. Once you've got all your files, repeat the process. Put your USB drive in, reboot, double-click the Install Linux Mint. So it's going to pop up a wizard to walk through. Select whatever settings are appropriate for you. Default probably works for 90% of people. You will want to click the Install Multimedia Codecs so your various media can be played. And then here we go. This is the step. This is the step that says, okay, you are about to erase every single thing. And you can quit here. It is until you click the Install Now button, you're still in Windows and all your data is still there. But once you click Install Now, There's no turning back. You can just, there'll be this pop-up here, but just click continue. It's irrelevant for most users. And then it'll just start to run through the process. You do have to set your location. You can type your location in and it'll try to find it for you. It probably can find it based on your IP address. I didn't have to type this in. It knew I was in Edmonton, so that's fine. Click continue. Now you got to type in your username. You'll want to put in a computer name that isn't the 120 characters long or whatever this is. Something that's good if you have a home network, so it's visible on home network. Otherwise, you can name it anything you want, but I wouldn't select the default. I particularly like the one I've chosen here. Then you got to choose a password. Make a good strong password. Mine was kind of weak, but I'm just doing that for the demo here. I'm not using this system, so that's fine. Now, while I flail about trying to type in my password correctly, just let you know that there's a couple options here. You can log in automatically, which means you won't be asked for a password when you log in, which is not super secure, but it might be okay for some situations. I would say generally require my password to log in. And you can encrypt your home folder, which would be a lot like BitLocker in Windows. You may or may not need that. I don't do that. And then you click next, and basically it's just time to wait. It'll go through this whole wizard process of installing things, and then as we get a little farther in, you may start to see some, hey, these are the programs you can use in here, so you might want to watch that to see, what's compatible. This is just kind of there. I know it's boring part of the screen, so we're going to show you some stuff, but you can also just walk away for half an hour or so. And yes, things like Netflix do work. I actually installed Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Apple TV. Was that all? Yeah, that's all. And they all work just fine, at least at lower resolutions. I have heard that some people are trying to play at 4K and stuff have problems, but I'm just watching these things on my laptop, so it doesn't bother me. Your moves may vary. I will point out that there are no specific apps for Netflix or Prime or anything. You have to use them through the browser, but they work fine in Firefox. The only thing you may need to do is once you load up, say, Netflix to start with, you'll get a little button that says Allow DRM in this browser, and you do need to use that basically for all the systems. So just click that, and it's okay, and then you can load things up. It works really well. And then once you get through there, you can restart now. And it'll reboot again, depending on how fast your system is. It'll come back up, and you'll get your login screen. And so you enter the password that you wrote down, of course, in the setup procedure. And once you've done that, you'll be presented with the desktop again, depending on the speed of your computer. Take a minute or two. You get a welcome to Mint splash screen here, and but click the Let's Go button first, because there are some additional setup things to do. You can set your desktop colors and themes. Some snapshots are basically backups. I'm not going to go into that right now. There's the driver manager. It's good to click that, and it'll look see if there's any drivers or video drivers or network card drivers or anything else. If you got tablets, those kinds of things, Bluetooth drivers, it'll look for the most up-to-date versions of them. I would guess probably 80-90% of the time they'll all be up to date. Then you'll want to go do the update manager. Linux is different in a good way compared to Windows, because all of the updates are based on a single app, if you want to call it that, this update manager. Unlike Windows, where you've got to update the operating system, but then things like Office you may have to update individually, or Firefox or Chrome or Edge, all of those have to be updated separately, and you may miss an update, you may not know it needs one, whereas here the update manager really helps. And so it's all in one place, and it will update things like Firefox all by itself. But it'll even update itself. So this, you may see this at the first time you run this, and you should just apply the update. Now, the other thing is Linux doesn't have the ability out of the box for the Windows OK when you're trying to install something. So you will have to put in your password into to do that, and so it's something that takes a little bit more getting used to, but it is the way Linux works. It's quite a secure operating system, and there's Mint is no exception. So this will do. So you can see there's Firefox. There's a bunch of other stuff. What it is, some of these things don't make any sense, but it's kind of doesn't matter. It just installs what it needs to, and it knows what it needs to install. So I like that quite a bit. And I think the updates on this took about 20-25 minutes, so it can take a while, but don't be frustrated. It's just doing its thing. And once those are done, it will say the update's finished. And if it doesn't say restart required, you definitely should restart anyways. It's just good practice. Make sure that the updates apply properly. So click on the button on the bottom and click restart, and in a few minutes you'll be back to your login screen, and you're actually now running Linux on your hard drive of the computer. You just switched to Linux Mint, so that's great. And you can keep this on for a while, and I do recommend it, but you can also uncheck that if you don't want to see that. There are other places to get this information from. It's just a handy sort of one-stop-fits-all place. And you can poke around in the menus here. I'm not going to go too into depth with it, but they have document viewers for PDFs, image viewers for your photos. There's something like 30,000 different free and open source programs that you can install. One of the main ones for a lot of people will be a replacement for Microsoft Office, and that's LibreOffice, which is 100% open source and free. You can do spreadsheets, Word documents, PowerPoint, and other drawing stuff, and basically it's fully compatible, read and write, to Word. Some more fancy Word features and Excel features may not work, but for most people they're absolutely 100% compatible. And so, fire up a document, and there you go. You're now a Linux user, and it's not that hard. So if you thought this was interesting and you'd like me to do more on some of the initial setup, I didn't want to get too far into this because this is basically just installing, but if you'd like to know how to do some additional setup, just let me know in the comments, and I'll maybe get another video up in a little while. So thanks for watching, and enjoy not having AI and ads and all the other Microsoft nonsense that they've been forcing on us for years.